guys, Otterpop here, and today I am doing a new patron request. Well, technically it's the second part of a patron request because I was like, okay, well, if you've got some videos that you'd like me to watch, and since I haven't really gotten a request in a while, then I'm like, okay, you can go ahead and give me two, sort of two-parter requests kind of thing. So that's exactly what I'm doing. I reacted to one video of something called Puppet History, and it was about the disastrous 1904 Olympics. Well, now I'm about to do the same thing, except with a different video. It's once again a puppet history video, but this time it's about the world's greatest / rudest samurai, which I honestly have no idea where this is gonna go. When it comes to some Asian history, I'm actually a little bit unfamiliar. I mean, heck, I'm unfamiliar with plenty of different kinds of European history. So thanks so much to the patron who requested this. I can see that you definitely seem to like the previous reaction, well, the first part of the reaction, and I do hope you enjoy the second part as well. And speaking of patrons, let's go ahead and give a quick shout out to those that have been pledging to me recently. I've had a lot of new pledges recently. That is super freaking awesome. Thank you guys so much. I hope to make it all worth your while, no matter what tier you're at. So first off, I want to thank my Sea Otters, my highest tier, which is going to be Popcorn73, Joseph Bauer, and Imperator1769. Thank you guys so much. That means a lot to me, and I definitely hope to make it worth your while. And of course to the Otterlings who, you know, the second tier. Otterlings and Sea Otters do have the ability to request certain projects for me to work on, videos, be it videos, art, stuff like that. I only have one Otterling right now, Icarus Crown, who did also request this particular reaction, so here it is right for you. And of course, I cannot forget the lowest tier, the Otterpops. You guys are seriously awesome. Even the smallest bit of support does mean a lot. So thank you to Slackety, Samuel Drake, Nordic Caesar, Gleerson, Gigi, and Adam Grunther. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys so much for showing your support. Again, I really do hope to make it worth your while. Anyways, let's go ahead. Let's get right into this, talking about the world's greatest / rudest samurai. This ought to be interesting. If there does happen to be like a name or two that gets thrown around that I'm like, oh wait, I actually know that name, I'll honestly be surprised, because again, when it comes to a lot of Asian history, I'm like, you know, whether it's China, you know, the constant number of times that it's been broken apart and then reformed back together, or whatever, for like the different dynasties and empires, or whether it's Japan or Korea, or even sometimes Russia, which, you know, technically is in Europe, but it's also in Asia as well, but whatever. But yeah, or India, like, when it comes to a lot of Asian history, I'm just very unfamiliar, so we'll see. I may or may not recognize something, but again, we'll see. We can only tell by actually watching it. So let's go.
Welcome one and all to Puppet History Online University. Today, we'll be taking an ever-winding look at yet another chapter in the heavy book we call history, while our guests ruthlessly compete for the coveted title of History Master. I am obviously your beloved host, the Professor. Thank you, Ryan
Professor
Bergara.
Puppet, that's what I like to call him.
Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do this.
Special guest, Garrick Bernard, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Well then, let's crack in.
Miyamoto Musashi.
To start us off, have either of you ever been in a fight? Not an argument, but a real, physical altercation.
Unfortunately, yes.
Oh,
I have too, but I was very young, so I almost feel like it doesn't qualify.
That counts, you know, fights happen when you're young.
Yeah.
Kids are mean.
That is true. This kid was being very mean. He was being rotten. I picked him up over my head and I slammed him into the ground.
Oh my God.
Wow.
How did you get grown man strength at 12?
I'm not quite sure. I got really angry. And to be fair, he was being quite racist. So I just...
Well, that'll do it.
Okay, yeah, fuck that dude.
Well, the subject of our episode today was the victor in a fight to the death.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really been in a fight myself. I've been in tournaments where fighting was involved, but have I ever been in an actual fight myself? No. I have been trained to use my martial arts as a defense mechanism only, not to be the instigator of any kind of fight. Now, when it comes to verbal fights, I mean, I've certainly had plenty with my sister. Funny enough, though, when it was Christmas, I was in middle school or I was just starting high school or something like that. One of those two. But apparently, my sister and I were known to fight a whole bunch, verbally at least, so my parents ended up getting the both of us boxing gloves for Christmas presents. We never used them. And I'm pretty sure the reason being, I'm almost 100% sure the reason being that being the case, my sister knew she was gonna lose. because that was right around the time where I was starting to learn martial arts, and I was getting pretty good pretty fast. I was able to do some solid kicks and forms, as well as just all different kinds of moves, and I still remember a lot of them, and I'm only a blue belt, and I haven't really trained or practiced in a while, but I still do remember a very good deal of what I learned in Taekwondo, so yeah, don't frick with me. I mean, I feel, actually, now that I think about it, I think even nowadays my sister wouldn't want to fight me. Like, she says, fight me, a lot. Just because that's just her personality. She means it in a joking way, but she also means it literally, but in a not literal way. But I think even she knows that she still would lose against me. I still think she would lose against me as well. But have I ever been an instigator of a fight? No. No, I've never instigated a fight, and I've never had to use my martial arts for anything other than occasional tournaments, which I'm not the worst at. I'm kind of iffy at, but yeah. Bottom line is, don't fuck with me.
Well, the subject of our episode today was the victor in a fight to the death.
Fuck yes.
And then another one, and another, and another, and another.
Oh.
Okay, well, a little bit of a pattern forming.
Is this like a
Clearly.
Coliseum type of situation?
Maybe.
Just you
Gladiators.
wait, buddy. Over his career, he claimed to have triumphed in over 60 fights, most to the death, using a combination of strength, ability, and a total disregard for his opponent. We're talking about one of Japan's all-time greatest swordsmen, Miyamoto Musashi.
For a second, it kind of sounded like you were describing like the Zodiac or something.
No, oh man, that would be a bummer.
Imagine if the Zodiac killer was just fighting people to death.
Yeah,
Like, he
exactly.
wasn't a serial killer at all.
Look, those kids in the car challenged me.
Yeah. God.
Miyamoto Musashi was born in 1584, around a turning point in the history of Japan. After nearly a century of
late in
turmoil
history?
culminated in the epic Battle of Sekigahara in 1600, Japan was entering the Edo period, which began nearly 250 years of relative peace. Well, there's some uncertainty surrounding Musashi's early life, but it's generally agreed that his father was Hirata Munisai, a samurai vassal to a local lord. While Musashi probably didn't live with his father, the boy would visit his old man to learn swordsmanship. Eventually, however, Musashi became so much more skilled than his father that he stopped visiting. Take that, Dad!
Oof,
Wow.
that's brutal. I don't know if you can relate to this, Professor, because you don't play sports. Maybe Garrick, you can. I know you're a fan of basketball as well. It's heartbreaking, when I imagine, when you beat your dad in one-on-one.
Yeah, because it's not so much like he's getting more skilled, it's that you're getting old.
Father Time is undefeated.
Yeah, Father Time is dunked on so many people.
No, I mean, I never saw it that way. I mean, I've certainly played against, my dad in particular at all different kinds of things, namely soccer and chess. And yes, I am bringing that up, but one is a very physical sport, and the other is, I mean, it's kind of a sport, but it's mentally challenging, not quite physically challenging like most sports that people know. But I wouldn't really beat my dad very often, mostly because I was just so much smaller than him. Like, my dad is 6'4", by the way, and he used to weigh a pretty fair amount, and he would be pretty good. He actually coached me and my sister's soccer teams for a while when we did play soccer. He was the one who also taught me how to play chess. And on occasion, I would be able to beat him, not very often, but it wasn't I immediately felt rewarded. It's like, okay, well, I'm getting good enough that I can beat this master, who I thought he was kind of at the time, but I wouldn't get discouraged necessarily and think that I was getting old. I actually don't know if I could really beat my parents at anything, and even if I could, I wouldn't really think myself old. I'd be like, I am skilled enough to be worthy of my parents, because my parents are friggin' awesome and badasses, but, I mean, if you guys want to think of it that way, as in terms of, beating your parents or something like that at sports or events or challenges or something along those lines. I don't friggin' know, man. I don't know. Yeah, you guys feel that way. I don't think I could. I don't fully understand that. Whatever.
Because it's not so much like he's getting more skilled, it's that you're getting old.
Father Time is undefeated.
Yeah, Father Time is dunked on so many people.
It's also like that old thing. Have you ever heard that thing where it's like, one day you'll pick up your child and set them down for the last time without ever knowing it?
That is heartbreaking.
Isn't that messed up?
That hurts.
One day, while walking home from a calligraphy lesson, Musashi saw a sign from one Arima Kiei, publicly looking for opponents to challenge him in a duel. This was a common practice by young samurai. No more than 13 years old, Musashi wrote a note accepting the challenge on the placard. When Musashi's uncle discovered his nephew, who wouldn't even be able to see a rated-R movie by himself yet, had accepted a duel to the death, he begged Kihei to forgive the boy. Kihei agreed, as long as Musashi came and apologized. So, what happened next?
Oh boy.
A. When Musashi went to apologize, Kihei attacked the boy anyway. B. Musashi apologized, and Kihei offered to train the boy. Or C. Musashi murdered Kihei. Ryan, what did you put?
I put C, he murked him.
I was going to say
Fair
C
guess.
as well.
And Derek?
I'm gonna say A, he attacked him anyway.
Well, let's find out what happened.
Man, what a crazy time that people were just walking out like, I need to train. Let's train by murdering somebody.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
I'm going the murder route.
I see someone has accepted my duel. I shall prepare. Oh, gosh, okay. Hang on. Sorry, hello. My nephew actually wrote that. Can you please just not murder him? He's only like 12 or 13. Ha! A youngster's prank. Very good. So long as this lad comes and apologizes. Then I shall forgive his wily stunt. I'll go tell him. Thank you so much. What a scamp this boy is. I'm excited to meet him. Excuse me, are you Arima Kihei? Yes, you must be the silly boy who accepted my challenge. I am indeed Arima Kihei. Well, it's time to die! Oh, shit! Blood! Death!
Yeah, of course.
There it is.
Point to Ryan! Little beef boy taking the lead early on.
You're gonna stick with
Beef boy!
Little beef boy.
Well, this fight against Arima Kihei hooked Musashi, and he devoted the rest of his youth to mastering the art of sword.
I'm gonna bring it back to basketball again. Sometimes when you're out there playing pickup, there's a guy who's barking a lot.
Oh, yeah.
He's the one who's talking the most.
Big dog gotta bark.
Big dog gotta bark.
Exactly. Well, if you take, he's done all the legwork. Basically, you take him down, now you have everyone's respect. So I respect the move here.
3 years later, Musashi left his native village and set off on an important period of development for young samurai called Musashi, or traveling for improvement. During this time, a samurai warrior would wander Japan, living like a monk while testing his skills in duels. You know, a classic violent monk. Eventually, if a samurai made enough of a name for himself, a provincial baron called a daimyo might hire him as a vassal. The samurai would swear loyalty to the daimyo and would no longer have to wander around. It's kind of like being awarded tenure, but for, killing people.
That's cool, man. I didn't realize there was like a samurai for hire business. That's fucking sweet. I would have hired a
Actually,
samurai.
there was.
a
I do
whole
know
samurai thing.
That's all anime. Like, every single episode is just them being a bodyguard.
No, they did battle in wars though too. I don't know if that was a different name for a warrior.
Are you thinking of the Tom Cruise film, The Last Samurai?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking of.
Here?
No, yeah, I'm thinking of Tom Cruise.
No, but
Instead of
okay.
doing that, Musashi spent his entire life as a ronin, meaning he was a samurai who never pledged allegiance to a daimyo. Maybe it was this dedication to traveling for improvement that allowed him to become so skilled at fighting. But his victories were just as much mental triumphs as they were physical.
He's a real one, man.
Damn.
I'm too good for any of you, so why would I chill here? And that's how you get like slow and fat.
Yeah, it's true. That's how you turn into Carmelo Anthony or something like that. No, that's disrespectful to Carmelo Anthony.
No, he deserves it.
What?
Anyway.
What's his
lost.
BC at this point?
I'm
His
lost.
body count.
He's about 20 here.
Damn, 8 years.
That's a lot of
You
time.
gotta just sort of extrapolate.
Wandering for 8 years, how many towns or villages have like top samurai? He's probably just walking in and being like, all right, who's the best? Let's get it
Japan's
on.
not
He's probably,
terribly
like,
big, so
10 bodies deep.
That's a pretty respectable guess. I'm gonna give you a history point for that.
There it is.
Good conjecture.
Ah!
In the spring of 1604, Musashi was around 20 years old and hanging around Kyoto when he came across the Yoshioka family. There were 8 schools of fighting in Kyoto at the time, and the Yoshiokas were the top of the top. When Musashi wrote to challenge Yoshioka Seijiro, the head of the Yoshioka dojo, he must have seemed like a real country bumpkin trying to prove himself in the big city, in way over his head.
Oh boy.
Sensing an easy win, Seijiro accepted the challenge and let Musashi pick the time and place.
Big mistake. You don't want to give someone home court advantage.
He's gonna pick a bamboo forest and he's gonna smack you with bamboo. Are you dumb?
The Yoshioka style of fighting that Musashi would be facing was one of speed and subtlety. To counter this, Musashi approached the duel with a strategy he later described as irritating one's opponent. For instance, Musashi chose an outdoor setting for their duel, knowing that Seijiro had gotten used to the smooth floor of a dojo, and the unsure footing outside would throw Seijiro off his game.
Bamboo forest. I told you.
That guy's kind of a wimp, no? I can only fight when I'm in my polished little dojo. You deserve to
Yeah,
die.
it's like,
Yeah.
I can only play basketball on the hardwood floor of the Staples Center and not out there, at the park.
Oh, it's a double rim, bro.
The double
Come on,
rim
man.
argument. It's unbelievable
rim.
every
Yeah.
time.
Always with the double rim argument.
I'm lost.
How else did Musashi irritate his opponent?
Ooh, let's see.
A, he showed up late. B, he sang the entire time he was fighting. Or C, he insisted the fight happen in the nude.
Oh, man.
All right, Ryan, what do you got?
I'm
I
gonna
went
say
C,
A.
peens out.
I'm gonna say A.
Garrick, what'd you put?
I went A.
Yeah,
he
I
showed
went
up
A.
late, like super late.
That's actually funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so much funnier to just be like, time
Oh,
and place.
that
Yeah, I'll
would-
say the time,
oh,
but
God.
I'll show up whenever.
Point to Garrick. In a classic
Boom!
A-hole move, he showed up well
Classic
after the
A-hole
time
move.
that he himself set for the duel.
It's so funny. He probably showed up with Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, dude.
He says, oh, I'm sorry. I just had to get a coffee really quick.
Musashi put himself in Seijiro's place and realized the longer Seijiro had to wait, the more time he would have to consider his own death.
That's one way of
Musashi
looking
was
at it.
weaponizing Seijiro's own imagination against him.
Oh, I love this.
This is like Michael Jordan. All the great ones play mind games.
When Musashi finally arrived, Seijiro was pissed.
Oh, I
He reportedly
bet.
hurled a slew of insults at Musashi, who egged Seijiro on further by simply smiling back. Thoroughly in his opponent's head,
Cheeky little
Musashi
fuck.
began to duel. The rules of the match dictated that each warrior was allowed only one decisive attack with a wooden sword. The combatants slowly approached one another, looking for an opportunity to pounce. And in an instant, they made their moves, striking one another at the same time. Musashi's blow landed on Seijiro's left shoulder, and it must have been a hell of a bonk. Not only did it knock Seijiro unconscious, but it crippled his arm. Seijiro had little choice than to renounce his position as the head of the Yoshioka dojo and live the rest of his life as a monk.
Jesus Christ. He knocked his
boom.
washed ass
Just
into
like that.
retirement?
Yeah, basically.
Into shaving his head, too. He was just like, well,
Yeah.
you gotta go bald now. So
Wow.
there you go.
Holy shit.
Hope you like making beer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a badass right there. Holy
What
moly.
did the Yoshioka clan do next? A, they asked Musashi to lead their dojo. B, they challenged him to another duel. Or C, they burned their own dojo to the ground in shame.
Ooh, B or C. I'm gonna go B.
Ryan, what'd you put?
I put C, extinguish our embarrassment.
And Garrick?
I said, A, please lead us.
That would be certainly the
I
smart
went-
thing to do.
I'm
Certainly
going
wasn't B.
No, of course not. Except it was, so points to no one.
They saw a guy get hit in the shoulder and then get knocked unconscious by that and was like, yeah, let me get a fucking turn.
I mean, Professor Puppet did say that the Yoshiokas were, like, the best of the best. Sir. With honors. So, like, why wouldn't they want to challenge this bum out of nowhere? Like, come on! It absolutely makes sense. Sure, samurai back in those days, I know that they had a lot of honor, but they also had a lot of stubbornness, too. And they weren't about to be put down by Hisashi. It's the only thing that made sense. By the way, I love that there have been 3 questions, and I've gotten all of them right. Holla frickin' Luya, I am good at this! I was kind of, I think it was a hit or miss for me for the Olympics questions, but for some reason, I'm just getting all the right answers with this, and I'm like thinking about it for a moment, and then I'm giving my answer just BAM! Just BAM! Alright, sorry. Alright, I'm good.
Except it was, so points to no one.
They saw a guy get hit in the shoulder and then get knocked unconscious by that and was like, yeah, let me get a fucking turn.
My turn,
Yeah,
my turn.
basically.
That is madness.
The Yoshioka were not
They're
through
samurai.
with Musashi yet. The new head of the dojo,
Musashi, my
Yoshioka
bad.
Den Shichiro, was Seijiro's younger brother and considered to be just as talented as his newly monked brother. Now, if you're thinking, well, someone just as good as a loser is still a loser, then congrats on thinking this through better than the Yoshioka.
So he also got monked.
Well,
Getting monked is funny.
Get munked.
Dan Shichiro sent a challenge to Musashi, who accepted immediately.
Sorry, Musashi, not
so
Hisashi.
great last time, Musashi decided to arrive late to this duel as well. With Musashi continuing to drag the Yoshioka name through the mud by being so disrespectful, Dan Shichiro was apparently nervous and irritated when Musashi finally arrived.
Wow.
When they finally began to fight, Dan Shichiro fared even worse than his brother.
Ouch!
Musashi disarming him and using his own weapon to kill him.
Oh, he killed him.
He killed him.
So this is...
Sometimes you got to make a business decision, and that
didn't
means
monk him, he
maybe I
fucked
don't
him.
want to block the guy who just dunked on somebody a play before. You step out of the way, let him have it.
He just monked on your brother. Like, don't, just relax.
All right. What did the Yoshioka clan do next?
Oh boy.
Oh, I already know.
Oh boy.
A, they asked Musashi to lead their dojo.
Oh boy.
B, they challenged him to another duel. Or C, they burned their own dojo to the ground in shame.
I'm still gonna say B. They challenged him
I'm
again.
gonna go C, just finish it, please.
Sure. And Garrick?
I'm gonna go B because they're fucking idiots and they're just gonna keep on going down the line.
I think so
Point to
too.
Garrick.
Wow. Wow, dude. Unbelievable.
4.
So disappointing.
Yeah, they're...
Oh
Definition
my
of
word!
insanity. It's a definition of insanity.
As you have
He is
astutely observed,
right.
insanity has been described as doing the same thing over and over and
Expecting a different result.
In that regard, you might say
Boom.
the Yoshioka were insane. Or you might say the Yoshioka were insane because the fighter they put forth to challenge Musashi, Seijiro's eldest son, Yoshioka Matashichiro, was a 12-year-old.
This may now be a case of Darwinism we're seeing here. That's just,
Perhaps.
Yeah.
just is what it is. No
Agreed.
real crime was committed here.
If this was any samurai movie,
Yeah.
I think what'll happen is either A, he'll die by the 12-year-old, or he'll see himself in the 12-year-old and be like, I'll train you, boy.
I like that
Oh,
second
I know.
option. That's beautiful.
That second option
second
is
option-
very sweet, yeah.
It's more than the family deserves, I'll say that.
For sure, 100%.
The
Oh,
Yoshioka clan was desperate. Their reputation was suffering, and they really needed
Clearly.
a W to restore it. Therefore, in addition to Matashichiro, the
But this
family would be
child
sending
was-
several archers and riflemen to ensure Musashi could not humiliate them any further.
That's
My word.
disrespectful.
That's some like Commodus shit in Gladiator.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, Gladiator.
That was
To his
awkward.
credit, or depending on how you look at it, not to his credit, Musashi took this challenge from a preteen very seriously. After all, he'd only been 12 or 13 when he won his first battle, so Musashi had good reason to prepare seriously for this fight.
Good move.
Self-awareness.
Good move.
You
Yeah.
like to see it.
Now, having a bit of a history with the Yoshioka, and knowing they'd probably expect him to show up late, Musashi instead arrived at this third duel early and hid in a bush.
Oh.
A nice zag on him.
just looking.
As he watched the archers and riflemen arrive, Musashi did the only thing he could have done to survive the fight. He sprang out and killed Matashichiro immediately. With the young leader of the Yoshioka dead, Musashi was able to escape, having single-handedly destroyed a once-respected Kyoto clan.
Rule of 3, man.
Wow.
You gotta do something different on the third.
Now, while there's plenty of
Kyoto
stories
clan,
of
oh,
Musashi
jeez.
embarrassing other swordsmen throughout his 20s, it was his final battle that became his most famous. By the spring of 1613, Musashi had triumphed in nearly 60 straight duels. But Musashi wasn't the only decent fighter in Japan. Sasaki Kojiro was the principal swordmaster for one Hosokawa Tadaoki. It was rumored that Kojiro was a swordsman equal in skill to Musashi. And Musashi kind of wanted to find out if that was true.
Next
Musashi wrote a
challenger.
letter to Lord Hosokawa asking for permission to battle Sasaki Kojiro. Lord Hosokawa agreed and set the duel for 8 a.m. on April 13th on the island of Funajima. Oh, on the morning of April 13th, as the duel's appointed time approached,
Oh boy.
where was Musashi? A, still in bed.
Maybe.
B, lying in ambush on the island.
No,
or C,
unlikely.
trying to steal a boat from a fisherman. Now, before we get to
I'm
the
gonna go
answers,
bed.
it's worth saying, pretty cool to have a duel on an island.
No,
Yeah.
I was just about to say, like, this kind of feels like when there's a big prize fight at the MGM Grand, which is why I chose A, napping.
Garrick?
I'm also gonna choose A.
I went A as well.
Because I don't think he wakes up in single digits. 8 o'clock, I mean, no.
Well, let's find out what happened. Hello?
Come on, let's make it
Is
5
this
for
where
5.
Miyamoto Musashi is staying?
Oh my god, yes, hello. Oh,
What do you want? I was sent to see where you were. Come on, we gotta get up. I'm up. Jeez. What are you doing? We gotta go. I'm coming. Just need to wash up and get dressed. And I'll have some breakfast, maybe some waffles or something. Good God. Hello? Yes, what do you want? I'm looking for Miyamoto Musashi. Is this where he's staying? Yeah, who are you? I'm a second messenger. Why didn't you bring him? I'm trying. This dude's an a-hole. Okay, I just need to borrow a towel, some bits of paper, and an oar. All right, let's go fight to the death.
Oh, was it C?
Classic Musashi, man.
This
Or
is
was it-
how
was it
nervous and
actually A?
anxious he is for this upcoming huge duel against a reported major opponent. He's napping.
So yeah, points to both of you. Congrats. Great going.
5 for
Eventually,
5.
Musashi ambled down to a boat owned by the guy with whom he was staying. While a servant rowed the boat, Musashi set to work on some arts and crafts. Oh, open-ended
What?
question. Keeping in mind he has some bits of paper, an oar, and a towel, what did Musashi make while being rowed to the island? And don't be afraid to get a little creative with your answers here. Have
I'm
fun.
not even gonna try.
Bits of paper,
Multiple choices, one.
an oar, and a towel.
Paper brains.
I put an unflattering dummy of his opponent, just going with the mind
Okay,
games.
maybe.
Pretty good.
That's
Garrett?
good.
I also put that, but I
No, you did not.
Paper brains. I'm terrible at guessing
You eat a
games.
jelly bean for that one.
hell yeah.
It's not right, but I love the synchronicity.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no,
In
I
the
agree.
boat, Musashi twisted the paper bits into string and used that to tie the sleeves of his kimono back so they wouldn't get in the way. Musashi also took the wooden oar and instead of using it to help paddle, he carved it into a sword.
Does he not have a sword?
What?
Has he not
I
been
guess
using a sword
not.
this whole time?
No, he has been using a sword, but it seems like he perhaps just forgot it. Or this is just a big flex. I don't even need a sword, I'll use this.
Beat your ass with this oar. I love this guy. I hope he doesn't die.
After he was done
he's-
crafting, and I guess because he was still tired even though he had slept in, Musashi laid back down. By the time the boat got to the island, he was more than 2 hours late.
There it is.
Wow.
With the
Yep.
boat still
There
in the
it is.
shallows, Musashi hopped out and used the towel to make himself a headband. As soon as Kojiro saw Musashi, he ran to the water's edge. In what I imagine to have been a common occurrence for Musashi, his opponent began to really holler at him, scolding Musashi for being so late. Musashi pretended not to hear Kojiro. At one point,
What?
Kojiro
What?
unsheathed
Did I hear
his
something?
sword and tossed his scabbard into the water. Finally, Musashi looked up and addressed Kojiro. Kojiro, you are lost. For if you expect to be the winner, why would you throw your scabbard in the water? Nice little bit of dirty talk. Or trash talk.
Dirty talk would
Not
be
dirty
great.
talk.
whoa,
what's
whoa,
happening
whoa,
over
hey
there?
now,
Puzzle
hey
Art.
now.
I meant trash talk. We get up to some stuff over here in this theater.
I don't like that.
You don't have to
Nope.
like it.
I do.
Nope.
Kojiro was pissed. When Musashi finally
Understandably.
approached, Kojiro swung at his opponent with the intention of splitting his head in half. Kojiro's sword, however, hit the knot in Musashi's towel headband instead. Musashi smashed Kojiro in the head, knocking him over. From the ground, however, Kojiro struck out and cut Musashi's kimono above his knees. Musashi used his wooden sword to start breaking Kojiro's ribs. Kojiro passed out and started bleeding from his nose and mouth.
Wow.
Musashi checked to see if Kojiro was still alive, which, like many of Musashi's opponents after being bludgeoned, he was not.
He beat a man to death
With a wooden sword.
with an oar after he came at him with a sword. Who is this man?
An oar can't even be used to block the sword.
He used his fucking towel to block a sword.
I agree.
He's
What the
greatest
what?
Of all time.
Musashi bowed to the
Is he
duel's
goat?
referees and hightailed it back to the boat, which he helped the servant paddle quickly back to the mainland. Because I
Holy
think
moly.
everyone watching got real pissed, and he was like, all right, see you later. Ha, ha,
Yeah,
ha."
yeah. That little scamp.
A few days later, Musashi asked if he could fight another of Lord Tadaoki's
Oh, for
vassals.
frock's sake.
Perhaps because he had just clubbed one of their best men to death, Lord Tadaoki's men never replied to the challenge, and Musashi left.
They're smart.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
much smarter
Unlike
than
Unlike the
other
Yoshiokas.
While we may see Musashi's fighting MO as pretty dirty, Musashi had a different perspective. Musashi considered himself to be in battle from the moment a duel was accepted. All scheduling, debating over rules, and posturing were part of the fight. The fact that his opponents didn't see things that way? Well, that was just too bad for them. And the body count Musashi left in his wake speaks to whether his was an effective strategy.
I agree with
You gotta
that.
respect it.
Everyone knows
yeah.
that the game starts way before tip-off.
His fight against Sasaki
What's all these
Kojiro
basketball
was Musashi's
references?
final
I don't
duel.
understand them.
Taking stock of a
Not
life
very
spent
well.
wandering around bludgeoning dudes to death, Musashi decided his unprecedented string of victories was not the result of perfecting his craft, but due to luck and the weakness of his adversaries.
That's
Humble.
That's
almost humble until the end.
Oh,
Yeah.
look, I'm not that talented. Everyone I fight just is not as talented as me.
That's exactly what I was saying.
Yeah, it started humble and then it was
humility.
Okay, you're right.
So, what did Musashi devote the rest of his life to? A. Establishing a dojo in Edo, modern-day Tokyo. B. Traveling throughout Asia. Or C. Art, writing, and being a dad.
Easy
C.
money.
Ryan?
This
say
probably
C.
isn't right, but I'd love to see him be a dad. Pass on the
Right.
Or
lineage
B.
of bludgeoning.
Yeah, he's gonna be an artist.
Now C.
Well, points to both of you.
I love it.
6
Love
for
to hear it.
6,
6, baby.
Movie. They always end up
That open-ended
with the
question doesn't
sleeve,
count.
and they're doing
They chill out.
They chill.
Between 1615 and 1624, Musashi adopted 2 children, Miyamoto Mikinosuke and Miyamoto Iori. Musashi came across Mikinosuke when the boy was 14 or 15. Mikinosuke was tending to Musashi's horse, and Musashi was pretty impressed with the boy. So much so that Musashi asked the boy if he'd like to be his son.
Hey,
Hey, you want to be my son?
You want to?
Okay.
I like the way you're tending to this horse.
Mikinosuke
yeah.
was flattered, but informed Musashi that he was already some other people's son.
Yeah.
That's how that works. Yeah.
Right.
They were old, and they needed Mikinosuke to help take care of them. So, what did Musashi do?
Oh dear.
He killed Mikinosuke's parents.
Oh.
B. He bought Mikinosuke from his parents. Or C. He adopted Mikinosuke's entire family, parents, and
I'm gonna say A.
Please,
I'm gonna say just kill them.
I wanna be wrong.
Ryan, what do you got?
I put C, not because I think what's right, but because I want it to be right. I want that to be the truth.
Sure.
But I got a
think
feeling
it's
he
A.
killed these 2 parents.
Yeah.
Garrett?
I say he killed those 2
I think he did
parents.
too.
Well, thankfully, and a little horrifically, the answer is B. So points to neither of you.
That's not as bad.
I mean,
6
thank
for
God.
7.
Musashi
Ouch.
went to Mikinosuke's parents, told them how he wanted to adopt their kid, and they said, sure. In return, Musashi gave the parents some money so they wouldn't struggle, and also stopped by the neighbor's house and kind of asked them to check in on Mikinosuke's former parents from time to time. Mikinosuke was his son now. Cool.
Okay.
Both Iori and Mikinosuke were trained by their father to follow in his samurai footsteps, going
Wow.
on to serve as vassals
Samurai
for
footsteps.
daimyos. Now, as I mentioned earlier, in addition to being one of the world's greatest swordsmen and buying his way into fatherhood, Musashi went on to be quite the accomplished artist. He designed the town at Akagi on Hoenshu and the temple gardens of Inakuin on Hoenshoji, and excelled at painting. His painting style is often compared to his sword style, as it prioritizes the execution of a perfect, irreversible stroke.
Ooh, I like those.
Oh, what subject is Musashi best known for painting? A. Birds. B. Large landscapes. Or C. A genie whose this I owe him, but is clearly mistaken, and I wish I had a wish left so I could wish Musashi here to teach him a lesson.
This genie thing it's getting strange, man. It's not even a bit anymore. It's people
Yeah.
are talking.
It's just a bit.
You keep telling yourself that.
He mentioned that in
I'm
the
only doing this
Olympics.
answer because I want to do this voice.
A.
Let's do it.
Ryan, what do you got?
I'm gonna say A.
Bird. Birdie, birdie, birdie.
And Garrett?
I'm gonna say B. All of the landscapes
I think
that he
it's
probably saw.
A.
Just wet with blood.
Wet with blood.
Well, you can see the answer right here in one of his best-known paintings, Shrike on a withered branch. Beautiful. Cool. Point to Ryan.
That was him?
Birdie, birdie.
Birds are all right.
That was
Pretty
him?
easy. You paint one bird, you got it down.
You paint them all. Also, a
at the-
shrike. That's a pretty brutal bird.
Is it? I don't know much about shrikes, but obviously,
I only know a little.
yeah, we could see one right there.
Pretty bird.
They drop their prey on branches and impale them.
Jesus Christ, not a pretty bird.
They're
what the
fucked
fuck?
up.
At the end of his life, Musashi wrote the book
They're badass
Korean
birds.
no Sho, or the Book of Five Rings, detailing his style of fighting, which he called the School of Two Swords, and how it relates to a general philosophy on life. Most elite martial artists could neither read nor write, and disciples or Buddhist priests were left to write books about their styles. The fact that Musashi was able to write his own books showed how superior he was, not just with a sword, but with a brain.
Oh, he
In
was
the
superior,
Korean no-Sho,
okay.
Musashi preached the value of having an immutable mind. He also wrote, "Without knowing others, one cannot really know oneself." It's easy to see how these philosophies served him well in his
Fair?
dueling career. Musashi knew that by disturbing the mental state of his opponents, he would be able to take advantage of their nerves and fears, and take advantage he did. Today, the Book of Five Rings is studied not just by martial artists, but also philosophers and lame business managers. An impressive legacy from an impressive samurai warrior.
Wow.
Stephen Lim probably has that book.
Oh, for sure. You know Lim's walking around with that one.
First thing you gotta do in the school of business is ambush a 12-year-old.
Yeah, kill a 12-year-old.
Apparently
Dominate your opponents. Stephen Lim muttering that to himself at his desk. Dominate your opponents.
In 1642, Musashi began to experience debilitating pain, thought to be some form of chest cancer. Musashi's plan was to go to the mountains and wait for death in a cave like some sort of unbelievable badass. Unable to comprehend how absolutely metal Musashi was being, people were sent to find the samurai legend and bring him back to his home.
No.
On June 13th, 1645, Miyamoto Musashi passed away in Higo, Japan.
That pisses me off that someone wouldn't let him die in the way he wanted.
I hope he wrote these things while he was still young so that nobody was just like, oh, this is just the ramblings of an old man. It's like, I killed a man with an oar. Yeah, Grandpa, we know. You killed a man with an oar.
Sure,
Yeah.
60 fights.
60 fights, all right.
160
I killed a 12-year-old. Yeah, Grandpa.
Well, that we all know. Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
That's the only thing we all remember. 10 years after Musashi's death, his son Miyamoto Iori had a priest carve an epitaph onto a large monument in Kokura, which still stands today. The inscription reads in part, Musashi's valor and great fame could not be overstated, even if the oceans had mouths or the valleys had tongues. Wow, that's good.
Okay.
That's great.
What a life.
What a story.
What a life.
I mean, I know he's
What
a serial
story.
killer, but I kind of wish he was my dad.
Well, for the right price, he could be.
Well, that concludes our history lesson. I'm gonna go tally up the scores to see who receives the coveted cup and the title of History
might be
Master.
close.
While I do that, please enjoy this special performance from one of the oars on Musashi's boat. Whoa!
What?
You've seen this show, right?
Yeah.
You see these dumb songs?
They're not dumb. I like them.
I know. Everyone does.
Hello.
Hey,
It's like the church.
From the boat.
Yeah, I could see that.
you okay?
No, Musashi made a sword out of my friend.
Oh.
Oh, you're the other oar.
Oh, he's the other oar. Okay, I get it.
I thought you were supposed to sing a song or something.
We were in love once. Or weren't we? Dipped into the sea. Just you and me, waiting in harmony. We were in love once. Or weren't we? But now I'm a sword, you see. Me and Musashi. Boy, we make 'em bleed. I long for the days our heads dumped under waves, how we splashed and we smooched, oh, remember. Well, now I'm a blade, and the one thing I crave is to slash and to swoosh and dismember. We're meant to be, or are we? Now this samurai's cutting you down to size. We must be denser than wood to not realize. We just can't be, or can we? It's pretty clear to me you'd rather be weaponry on spilling door on the shore, and I'm lost at sea.
This is beautiful.
Oh, they're gonna kiss?
Yeah, they were lovers.
Oh, okay, they got close. Oh, kiss.
Curtain falls.
Kiss.
Do it.
Do it.
Do
Curtain
it.
falls.
Oh, come
boo.
on.
Oh, jeez. Okay, all right, too much. All right, too much.
Yeah.
I thought they were gonna Jim and Pam us.
Whoa, wow. Those guys,
Wow.
heavy in here, you know what I'm saying?
Amy.
They're right down there, and they're, oh boy, they're really going for it.
Looks like you're enjoying it.
Yeah, you don't have to watch for that long.
Holy moly. Well, you're not gonna believe this, but Garrick Bernard is our history master, and so he has rightfully earned the coveted cup.
Yeah.
Ryan, thanks for trying. Garrick,
Ryan, thanks for trying.
Your reward!
Ryan
Got an
looks
honest
so
one for
done.
once.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I think you know what I'm talking about.
I
Oh, okay, Garrick, how's it going?
got a little cup.
Garrick, you have dutifully
Adorable.
earned that trophy.
Hey, what happens if I eat the jelly beans?
Oh, well, take a taste and find out.
All right, I mean,
Holy shit.
Yes! Now you see the magical power of my wonderful little jelly beans.
What the fuck?
Welcome to the party, pal.
Is he gonna turn back?
Nope. Thanks for watching Puppet History, everybody. We'll see you next week.
This hurts.
This hurts. Oh my goodness. Okay, so not quite as funny as the Olympics episode that I watched, but this one was still pretty good. And hey, not the open-ended question, because I'm not very good at guessing games or whatever, you know, when there's no information or context given to me, or no options or something along those lines, but 6 out of 7 questions I got right! I was genuinely surprised by the last question, or was it like second to last? I don't know, last question or second to last question on, you know, how Miyamoto got the kid to be his son or whatever. Like, I was genuinely surprised by that, but the rest of them I nailed. I just freaking nailed it. Oh my goodness. This still did have its moments. Yeah, this one still did have plenty of good moments. It had an interesting song. I think the song from the end of the first one was probably a lot better and a lot funnier. It was so good. The idea of using the oars instead of the Olympic torch, though, for the singers of the song, that was actually really good. And then it turned into a duet. You know, at first it was just one, it was just a lonely oar, and then it was a duet. That was actually really good. Slightly different words, different pitches, but you could hear it. It was really good. No, I really did like the Puppet History videos a lot more than I thought. Maybe I'll react to these in the future, I'm not entirely sure. It probably won't be top priority, so there's a possibility it could be requested again, or I may just kind of watch on my free time again. I'm not entirely sure, but we shall see what happens. Bottom line is, I really did enjoy these, and like the Shrike on a tree painting is actually something I did recognize. Funny enough, it was a piece of artwork that I recognized and not a name or anything along those lines. I didn't even realize that was Musashi. I mean, granted, I think I've known about the painting. I might not have known its name or the artist, but hey, now I freaking know. And I was right about so many of those. I'm so proud of myself. Ouch, my shoulder. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna probably have to end it there because I got nothing more to add. This was gold. This entire series and concept is so freaking entertaining and so very educational, and it's like 30 minutes. They probably put so much energy and time and effort and practice and probably even rehearsals of some sorts into putting all of these together. Because, I mean, I don't know if they can come up with these jokes, like their responses to Professor Puppet, off the top of their head. If they can, good on them, but I don't think that that's entirely what's happening. Maybe on occasion it could be, but if that's what's happening the entire time, I kind of doubt that. They might be given a moment to kind of think about, okay, how should I respond? Also, what was with all the random basketball references across this episode? I know football references, but if you're going to go into any other sport, that's all I can say. So, very much enjoyed this. Will I watch other ones in the future? Possibly. Don't know for sure. We shall see though. But thank you all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this reaction. And as usual, until the next video guys, check you laters.